Get right to our strategy session. Joining us now, two CNN contributors, the Democratic strategist James Carville and Eric Erickson, the editor-in-chief of RedState.com. James, hearing this testimony today, whatever you want to call it, the arguments made before the U.S. Supreme Court, the government's chief lawyer, the Solicitor General, Donald Verrilli, according to people who were inside, including our own Jeffrey Toobin, they thought he was weak, to put it mildly. I mean, they had months and months to prepare. The questions were obvious. How is that possible that the lawyer representing the Obama administration comes in seemingly unprepared for these important arguments?
Well, in his oral arguments, I was prepared to defend this gentleman, but I went and looked at a bunch of other people, and it wasn't just Jeffrey's opinion. It was pretty unanimous, and I have no idea a guy goes before the Supreme Court and according to legal experts, and these are not just conservative legal experts, both sides, and he wasn't all that prepared for some of the questions that he got, which seemed to me and other people to be pretty anticipated questions that he would get. So honestly, I'm a little bit at loss for an explanation.
Yeah, I'm at a loss myself because they usually do major preparation, moot courts, a lot of rehearsals. Questions were obvious. Eric, if this goes down for the Obama administration and the Supreme Court in June, end of June, let's say, rules that it's unconstitutional, the mandates requiring people to buy health insurance, are you convinced that this is an automatic political win for the Republicans?
I don't think it's automatic, but I think it's pretty close to being automatic. Suddenly, Mitt Romney, if he's the nominee, and I think he will be, has the one issue that will galvanize conservatives for him and independent-leaning Republicans, and that they've got to support him to preserve the 5-4 conservative majority on the Supreme Court, and that may be what he gets to run to November with. I think it's not automatic, Wolf, but it probably will embolden Republicans either way, frankly, than the Democrats, many of whom they would love to see this law upheld, but at the same time, some of them wanted the public option that they didn't get.
Let's say it is overturned, James. What's the political fallout from your perspective? What's going to happen?
I honestly believe this. This is not spin. I think that this will be the best thing that ever happened to the Democratic Party, because I think health care costs are going to escalate unbelievably. It's 2012, 20 out of 100 people over 65. By 2020, it's going to be 26. And you know what the Democrats are going to say, and it's completely justified. We tried, we did something, go see a 5-4 Supreme Court majority. The public has these guys figured out. Our poll shows half think the whole thing is political. They overturned an election, and just as a professional Democrat, there's nothing better for me than overturn this thing 5-4. And then the Republican Party will own the health care system for the foreseeable future. And I really believe that. That is not spin. I think see Scalia when you want health care.
I think what it will do, Eric, and I'm anxious to get your reaction, what it will do is energize a lot of Democrats out there, and they'll say, you know what, there could be 1 or even 2 vacancies on the Supreme Court over the next 4 years, and if there's a Republican in the White House, there'll be another Antonin Scalia or a Samuel Alito. If there's a Democrat in the White House, it could be a Sonia Sotomayor or Ruth Bader Ginsburg. The difference is for the next 30 or 40 years, 1 or 2 Supreme Court justices for the American people could be enormous. This could be a huge issue going into the next presidential election.
Well, for both sides, Wolf, not just the Democratic side, even if the law is upheld or struck down, there's a 5-4 conservative majority right now. Historically, you see Republicans picking justices who have a greater propensity to gravitate to the left than you see Democrats putting in judges who have a propensity to gravitate to the right. So both sides are going to be fighting over the Supreme Court, but I still think the economy will be the biggest issue going into the election. This will be an undercurrent issue for both sides, though.
Because I keep hearing, James, a lot of liberals out there who aren't necessarily thrilled with the president's performance so far. They do say this, when all is said and done, they need to re-elect President Obama. Otherwise, Roe versus Wade, all sorts of sensitive issues are going to be overturned by a new Supreme Court. That's why they say a Democrat needs to be in the White House.
Well, I mean, I think the President's done a good job on a host of things, but just to go back to this sort of basic argument on health care for a moment, if they do this thing 5-4 and overturn it, and I think that it's going to give the Democratic Party a argument for a long, long time about this. And, you know, the parties all get charged up. Remember, Scalia and these guys overturned an election. Why wouldn't, and I don't understand why the Justice, the Solicitor General, everybody was so lackadaisical about this. These guys are not going to go, like, read a law book and decide what to do. I mean, they've already, and the public has this figured out. I mean, this court, did its reputation enormous damage with Bush v. Gore, and it's lingered, and to overturn the thing 5-4. I mean, but as a professional
James,
Democrat, not as a citizen of the U.S., I actually think the best thing could happen.
I would say that that's a larger issue in American history, and I think it goes back before Bush versus Gore. You do have everyone feeling like every issue in America has become politicized, including the Supreme Court. It is a matter now of, it depends on what Anthony Kennedy had for breakfast on the way a decision goes, 5-4 to the left or 5-4 to the right. I mean, we have handed ourselves over to one man in a black robe.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, Eric. But I'm not sure. Again, just speaking just as a political partisan, I think I'd rather lose this thing 5-4. Not what I really think ideologically or personally. But okay.